An American tour operator has been sentenced to 15 years hard labor.
Kenneth Bae, a missionary from the United States, was taken into custody
to seek the release of jailed Korean-American missionary Kenneth Bae. Following Bae's press conference,
Kenneth Bae, a Korean-American missionary, has been the longest-held U.S. citizen in North Korea since the Korean War. He had been running a successful North Korea trip business when an inadvertent mistake during his 18th visit cost him his freedom. He was detained by the North Korean authorities in November 2012. Until his much-awaited release in November 2014, his story drew considerable attention from around the world. Finally, he returned to the arms of his family after spending 735 days in imprisonment. Rather than bearing the painful memories of his ordeal, with his newfound freedom, he is courageously sharing his harrowing yet inspirational tale so that the world may hear the truth. On today's The Innerview, Kenneth Bae shares with us his memories of the 735 days in North Korea that are not forgotten.
Just before the cameras start to roll, my heart always races with excitement as I get ready to introduce our guest on The Innerview. And today is no exception as I get to introduce to you Kenneth Bae, a Korean-American missionary whose darkest times have led to a newfound passion for life. Kenneth, welcome to The Innerview. It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
Good, thank you for joining us. I know you have a very tight schedule while you're here in Korea. When did you arrive?
I arrived last week, and then I've been traveling back and forth for the last couple of times.
Okay. Yeah. And how does it feel when you visit Seoul, the place where you were born and raised?
Well, I always feel home when I come back to Seoul, especially. I just visited a few familiar places, just from my childhood. And it was great to walk through the area and just to be having a taste of home.
Right. Yeah. And do you think it's changed much since the last time?
Oh yes, it's changed a lot, and especially it's been 4 years since I came back.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's seen a lot of changes, a lot of different buildings.
And it must be quite different from when you were growing up here as well.
That's correct.
Right.
Yes.
Wow. And I know this visit must be extra meaningful because you have actually published a book which released in Korea and the US and several other countries simultaneously. Now, our viewers had a chance to listen to your story through a short video clip earlier, but can you tell us again what motivated you to document your story?
Yes, I was detained in North Korea for 2 years, in actually a total of 735 days. And so I wrote a book called Not Forgotten, and so that I just wanted to let the people know that I was not forgotten by the people.
Right.
People pray over me and concern for me, and then and also I was just wanting to let them know that because of my Christian faith, God has not forgotten about me.
Right.
And also it'll be a reminder for the rest of the world to let people know that we should not forget the people like people in North Korea. So they shouldn't be forgotten. So this is why I wrote the book, yeah.
Okay. But I assume it must have been quite painful to recall and go through once again some of the darkest times in your life, I presume.
It wasn't easy to go back and relive the stories that I went through. But when I was in North Korea, I felt like that this is something that I need to write it down. So actually I kept a journal when I was in North Korea. And so I wrote a lot of different events and I documented everything there. But unfortunately, when I left, all my journal was taken away. So I couldn't take those back. But because I've been writing those journals down, and I think it was a lot easier for me to recall those memories. Yes.
I see. And we have those memories in the form of this book now, which is absolutely amazing. So prior to being detained then, you'd been to North Korea a number of times. What kind of activities were you involved in?
Yes, I was involved in tour activities. So I actually organized a tour into North Korea so that we can explore the land and the culture and the people. So we can meet people and experience a culture and explore the nature of the country.
Right.
And that I conducted the tour over 23 different trips in 2 years period of time. And I personally led about 18 trips out of that. Yeah.
Amazing. So why did you take a special interest in North Korea particularly?
My family originally is from actually North Korea.
Right.
Even before the Korean War started. My dad was 6 years old when he came down to South during the war. And then all my family, before that, the 4 generations lived in the northern part of Korea.
Right.
So I had a special interest because I felt like North Korea is also part of my heritage. And not only that, during the 1997 to 2002, there were great famine that happened in North Korea.
Indeed.
Many people died, and I would, as a Korean descendant, and just seeing the people suffer, it was just devastating to see how people are suffering there. So I wanted to do something good for the people of North Korea, and see if I can be a help and it can become the voice for them. So I wanted to take my time to see if there's anything I can do for them, and I thought that maybe conducting a tour in the country will help their economy, and also some of the perspective of the North Korea maybe change from the outside the world when people go and see the land for themselves, meet the people themselves.
Right, so try and overcome some of the prejudices that outsiders might have. So it sounds like you were doing a lot of good there, and you must have also gained the trust of the North Korean government at the time. So what suddenly changed?
Yes, I was actually very respected because all 23 tours we conducted through our company, we had no problem at all. Over 300 people participated, but last trip that I led, that was my personal 18th trip in 2 years, and I was arrested because I carry in the portable hard drive as a mistakes. It was more like an accident, and because that I bought a brand new computer, I didn't have a chance to transfer the file from old one to new one. So I had this portable hard drive, and the city that I was in to the border city took about 21-hour train ride. So I thought I can work on it, but never had a chance to get to it. And then I left my computer in China before I crossed over to North Korea side, but I forgot to take my hard drive out. But this hard drive contains some footage from Western media, and then this is something that they see it as more negative footage, negative reportings, and so they were very alarmed, and then they were just wondering, why did you bring such a hostile material into our countries? And not only that, it also contained some of the letters and photos that I have taken in China and North Korea before, that revealing that I was also working as missionaries. I think that is 2 reasons why that I was detained. Because
in North Korea, Christian missions are seen kind of as an act of terrorism aimed at overthrowing the government. Is that right?
Well, not all the missionary has been shown as terrorists, because that's, when the missionary come and even though their identity is missionary, but if they can do any humanitarian work and it's just way to help people in a certain way, then I think they allowed them to in. But preaching the gospel, handing out the tract, handing the Bible, and those things are not allowed. But simply because not only I was a missionary, but I organized tour into North Korea to pray and worship, and as a Christian, because we believe that prayer can make difference. We believe that how God wants to receive the worship from North Korea. So this is why that I ask people to come to North Korea to see the land, meet the people, and pray for them, and worship in behalf of them, and love them as Christ loved them. So that was the reason why I conducted a tour, and the motivation behind it, they didn't like that motivation behind it.
So you became a bit problematic in the eyes of the North Korean government.
That's
so
correct.
what crime were you charged with exactly, and what sentence did you receive?
Well, I was charged with attempting to overthrow the government.
Right.
And then I was convicted to the 15 years of hard labor.
Wow.
I asked them, what did I do to overthrow the government? They said, through prayer and through worship. And because they really felt that prayer is an act of terrorism. Because as you say, you did not pray for us, you may pray against us.
Right.
And I said, it's a part of the spiritual things, not physical act. But for them, for people coming in and to pray for the people in North Korea, they felt threatened by it.
Right. It's pretty astounding. But did you think initially that you'd be released fairly soon?
Yeah, I didn't think that I was going to be there for 2 years in the beginning, because almost all the Americans who were detained prior to my case came home no more than 5 or 6 months.
Right.
And then most of them did not even go to the trial. In my case, I was sent to trial and then sent to the labor camp.
Right.
And so first early on, I didn't think that I would be actually staying for 2 years.
But you ended up going to this special labor camp. How did you take that news?
Well, as you can see, I was a little dumbfounded because I didn't think that no American ever was sent to labor camp prior to my case, so I didn't know whether they would take that kind of step. But once I was told, I was told at the same day and was sent the same day.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so I had to accept it, and then I would just have to say, well, I just have to wait for how the American governments will respond to it, and then just have to wait it out for whatever the period of time I'm going to be in the labor camp.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you wrote about some of those experiences in the labor camp in your book, and I think it's going to be such an inspirational message to people out there. There are a lot of people who, have never experienced war in their lives, even though this country is divided by the Korean War. The vast majority of the population have never actually experienced it. But I think nonetheless, it will be a hugely inspiring and moving tale for them. So let's take a look at a short video clip right now.
An American tour operator has been sentenced to 15 years hard labor.
The United States may send its special envoy to
Jeffrey Edward Fowle entered the secretive nation on April.
미국 사람 중에 15년 받은 사람도 저밖에 없고 교화서 간 사람도 없었는데 노동 교화서라는 거를 보낸 거예요. 아침 8시부터 밤 10시, 11시까지 계속 신문이 이어집니다. 그리고 조서를 쓰고 이 보고는 마음에 안 들면 다시 쓰게 하고 굉장히 제 자신이 지쳐 있었고 회복 불가능하다고 생각했었고 검사가 하나 와가지고 저한테 와서 하는 말이 있습니다. 당신 집에 못 간다. 당신 앞으로 13년 남았어. 희망이 좌절이 되고 좌절이 절망감이 되고 나중에는 아무것도 할 수가 없어요.
You've mentioned that the 12th of December 2012 was an unforgettable day for you. Why is that?
That's the day that North Korea launched the missile called, they actually called it satellite.
Right.
This is a Gwangmyeong-song, 2호기. This is one of the long-range missile they tested out. And then they claimed that it was the first satellite launch was successful. So the whole country was celebrating, and everybody was, just excited. But I knew when that happened, when I saw on the TV, I knew that my early release would be it'll be difficult because this will bring the tension between the United States and to North Korea.
Right.
And I knew for sure that UN sanction will follow. If that happened, then there will be more tension between North Korea and US. And obviously after that, they even done the third nuclear testing a month later. So my case was getting more difficult to be solved, in a way. So that I remember that day particularly thinking that, wow, I maybe have to be here for a lot longer than I thought.
Right,
Yeah.
so you were in a bit of state of despair,
Yes.
really. So our viewers are probably incredibly curious about what it was like for you when you were detained. You were imprisoned in a special reform camp for foreigners. And what was a typical day there like?
Yes, when I was told that I was going to labor camp, I was actually thought that I would be surrounded by the other inmate, especially with the North Korean inmate. But when I got there, turned out it was for foreigners only camp.
Okay.
So apparently the living condition and everything is a lot better than other prisoners that the normal prisoner they have. And so my day started at 6 in the morning, and then go to work at 8. It's a labor camp, so it was more like a farming community.
Right.
So I have to start working at the bean field and the sowing and planting, just working in the field from 8 in the morning until 6 o'clock in the evening, 6 days a week.
It's back-breaking work.
Yeah, so it's been very difficult because I never done the type of hard labor before.
Right.
In the winter time, I work on digging the hole, ground, carrying the rock, and dicing coal ashes and different things. And then following summer, I work on a little bit of ground constructions and then carrying rock and different things. So it was like a hard labor day, as you can describe. But it was difficult to handle day to day. But so I had to depend on God and every single day, just before go to work, and just almost like putting a full armor of God and just praying, worshiping, and say, Lord, take care of me today.
Right.
And that was my day. So I have to live one day at a time.
Indeed.
Yes.
And just as a side note, what were some of the other foreigners being detained for?
When I got there, it turned out I was the only prisoner in camp. And there were more than 30 different guards and staffs working in the camp. And then it turned out I was the only one, so I didn't get to see any others. There was one person who stayed with me at the end, but never got to see him. We overlapped for about 1 week.
Oh, I see.
But he came on with me when I was released. So that's what I found out, that he was there at the same time.
So you're pretty much doing all this hard labor, this farm work by yourself?
Yes, so I was pretty much in isolation, just surrounded by the staff and the guard. Yeah.
Okay. And in your first appearance before journalists, you appeared distraught, you appeared weary in your grey prison uniform and cap. And I heard you'd also lost a lot of weight as well.
Yeah, I lost about 27 kilos altogether during those time in the labor camp and even prior to that.
So what was the living environments like with regards to food and your cell, etc.?
Yes, just soup and rice and few vegetables. And then first summer I received a little bit of meat and fish as well. But the following winter and so on, that I didn't. I guess that things changed a little bit. So just the calorie that I was burning, working out, and then what I was getting was not enough. So I guess this is one of the reasons why I lost a lot of weight rapidly.
And I heard also that you weren't allowed to turn the lights off when you went to sleep.
Yeah, they actually camera in my room. My room was kind of like divided into 3 different sections. So each section there's a camera watching me. So when I'm sleeping, they only make sure I'm okay in a way. So they have a light on so that the camera can tape wherever
see.
that I am in. So it was difficult to endure for
Right.
especially first year. Yeah.
And to make matters worse, I heard you were in poor health at the time.
Yes, I had a diabetes and some, the gallbladders and the gallstone and few other things, my back problems and so
Right.
on. So it was difficult to endure because of that. And I had a severe arthritis pains because I was working and using hand a lot.
Right.
And so I have to get up maybe almost like every hour to shake my hands and then just wait about 15, 20 minutes and go back to sleep, get
Right.
up. So, it's a lack of sleep
Yeah.
and then a lot of work. So it was physically very demanding to
Right.
be in labor camp at the time.
And of course, efforts were made towards your release. The North Korean human rights envoy, Robert R. King, in particular, was sent to Pyongyang to try and secure your release and ask that you be pardoned. Did you, see an inkling of hope at this point?
I only found out that his trip was canceled the day before he was supposed to arrive. So once I realized that, that was very difficult to just to take it in because my hope, was kind of crushed.
Right.
And then soon after, there was another visit from the White House, a National Security Council member who came to see me
Right.
for a brief, about 5-minute visit. And then this visit, then he pretty much told me that they were doing everything possible to get me home, but couldn't take me home at the time.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I hear that the opportunity for your early release actually fell through 3 times altogether, and that must have been very frustrating.
Yes.
Put you in a state of despair, really.
I heard that actually Ambassador King is coming back,
Right.
and this time he's coming. He said that they were saying that he's coming in 2 days, so I was very excited.
Yeah.
So I even told everybody goodbye, and thank them for all those things, but that he never showed up.
Oh, right.
And so that was very devastating at the end. And so wow, then. Well, if I don't go home this time, I maybe have to be here another at least 5-6 more months.
Yeah.
Turned out that was the true case after that. Yeah.
Devastating indeed. So in retrospect, it seems that perhaps North Korea used you as a bit of a political bargaining chip, shall we say. And you had a press conference in prison that was broadcast by the foreign media. How did that actually come about?
Well, I was detained in 2012, November 3rd, and then I was sentenced and sent to prison in May 2013. So by July, because I think the North Korean government was expecting a lot of media frenzies and attention was given from the United States, but they didn't see enough effort.
Right.
So I don't think that's one of the reasons why that they allowed a pro-North Korean newspaper crew from Japan to coming in to the interview. And this is where the photo was released when I was working in the field and then with the dirty prison costumes that I was wearing. So I think that after that, my families got involved, and then all the media started covering a lot more, and then the people start writing the petitions and for my release, and the things got really kicked off from there.
Right.
And then after that, there was Dennis Rodman visited, famous basketball star Dennis Rodman visited North Korea with some of the NBA players, and then they did exhibition games with North Korean players. And then CNN did an interview over satellite, and then he did mention about me, and kind of telling the world that maybe I deserve to be there.
Okay.
So there caused a
that
reaction.
you deserve to be there.
Yeah, kind of caused a reaction from all the media.
Right.
He did apologize to my family after that.
Right.
But because of that, more media attention was given.
Okay.
And this time, that I think that it caused more pressure to U.S. governments and North Korean governments to do something about it. And this is why that's why that the envoy was supposed to be coming, but at the end, because of military tension at the time, that was canceled.
Right.
So, but I ended up staying longer. Yeah.
Okay. But some of these media appearances and Dennis Rodman's interview, they did kind of help your cause
Yes.
in the long run.
Yes.
Okay, and you were called number 103, your inmate number, by the guards, and were under constant surveillance, which must have been very stressful as well. I mean, just being in here with 5 cameras is sometimes stressful too. And I guess you could say that the prison guards were the people you spent the most time with during your time in North Korea, and the people that you spent the most time talking to as well. How was that?
Well, they usually call me Prisoner 103.
Yeah.
That was my new name. And then first, they were very hostile in a way because they thought that I was trying to overthrow their governments, disturb the peace. And I was working for the U.S. government or something like that. But later on, they found out I was just a missionary.
Right.
I was not working with tied to any governments or any sort of. And then once they realized that I was not a really threat to them or to anybody, and then people start asking questions,
Right.
and then they will start saying, "Wow, you're kind of different," you know. And then they say, "We are the guard, you are the prisoner. Why do you seem you're happier than us?" Or something, you know. They were asking something like that. Where does your joy come from? Where does your hope come from? I say, "Well, it comes from God because I'm a
Right.
missionary."
Yeah.
And they want to know more, so we'll start chatting a little more. And so they said, "Well, I've never seen anything like this before," you know. And that was one of the things that triggered to deeper having a more deeper conversation from that
Right.
moment on. Yeah.
It's very, very inspiring indeed. And I think your story also kind of reminded me of the significant impact that ordinary citizens can have in the political arena, particularly, or even in the area of foreign relations. So let's talk about those people and the movement that they created to help secure your release.
Kenneth Bae was face to face with his darkest hour as the longest held US citizen in North Korea since the Korean War. Despite the resolute efforts made by the US government, the opportunities for his early release fell through 3 times, ripping away the last shred of hope he had. Then an unexpected movement arose with people signing petitions requesting amnesty for Kenneth Bae. David Sugarman, a sports agent for the NBA All-Star Kenny Anderson, began the Bring Back Bae campaign on social media, while American journalists Missionary and Arirang, who had previously been detained in North Korea back in 2009, started a letter-writing campaign for him. People who had never even met Kenneth Bae joined the movement and wrote him letters that would give him the strength and resilience to carry on. But of course, it was his family who was direly waiting for his release more than anyone else. His son Jonathan went on an online petition site while his younger sister Terry Jung gave a heartbreaking interview to plead for help. The petition movement demonstrating the unity and sheer love of mankind has left an inerasable mark in Kenneth's heart.
So Bill Richardson, the former governor of New Mexico and a strong advocate for your release, was quoted as saying, "Somehow the cries for his release have not been as strong as other detainees. I don't want you all to forget about Kenneth Bae." And that led to a lot of petitions being signed in order to free you, a lot of campaigns. Was the North Korean government aware of all this activity?
Yes, of course. I think that North Korean governments have monitored all the progress.
Yeah.
So what's the people are saying out there, who's advocating for my release. So there were a total of 170,000 petition was signed
Wow.
from the worldwide.
Amazing.
And I received many letters from the people that's saying that we're standing with you.
Right.
And so there are just, I was just so surprised, and so many people care, and they're really concerned for my release. Yeah.
So you mentioned the letter writing campaign. Thousands of people from around the world got together. Did it help you stay strong to know that so many people were supporting you?
Oh yes, they become, I think they're one of the pillar for me to be able to stand still and in the difficult places and difficult time.
Right.
And I received more than 450 letters.
Wow.
And many letters saying that is, Kenneth, you are not forgotten. We are standing with you. Do not lose hope because you'll come home soon.
Right.
So every time I was falling in despair, that I go back to those letters and read those out and say, yes, people care about me, people are praying for me, so I shouldn't fail. I should
Right.
stay strong. And I just wanted to thank all of those people who wrote a letter and prayed for me at the time. Yeah.
And you were definitely not forgotten. Did that inspire the title of your book?
That's correct.
Right.
Yeah, that's why. Because so many people that wrote me at almost exactly the same phrase. They say, Kenneth, you're not forgotten.
Wow.
Yes.
Really, really inspiring indeed. And above all, I think the courage that your family showed during the ordeal was absolutely amazing. How did their letter writing affect you?
Just my family also wrote me letters, and they actually went out and did a lot of advocacies for my release, especially my sister Terry.
Right.
She's a professor at the college, and she had to reduce her work and load, and she did many interviews and went to government officials and they did a lot of different meetings. It took about, just 2 full years of her life to trying to get me home. Because of that, I think that my case was a lot more well known,
Right.
because of all the media coverage was given, and then the high level the visit with the White House and the State Department and so on, with my sister and my rest of my family.
Right.
Yeah.
So they played a huge part in
That's
your release
correct.
as
Yes.
well. So that release came on the 8th of November 2014. The US Department of State announced that you had boarded a flight home. How did it feel getting off the plane, seeing your family for the first time in 2 years?
It was just amazing. It was unreal. I didn't, until the plane touched down,
Yeah.
it didn't really seems real.
Right.
Because I was being released, coming home. It took 21 hours that flight time to get me home. When I landed, when I got out, I saw my mom walking toward me.
Yeah.
This is when I felt like, wow, I'm home.
Right.
So I just embraced her. I just said, hi, Mom, I'm home. And then the rest of the family came to see me at the time. Yeah.
That must have been an amazing feeling. And really, really emotional it must have been.
Yes.
Gosh. So, Kenneth, the longest held US citizen in North Korea since the Korean War, returned to his family after 735 days. But just before we start talking about what his life is like now, let's take a look at another video clip.
간수들이 좀 이상하대요. 그래서 참 신기한 사람 왔다 그러더라고요. 우리가 간수고 당신이 죄수인데 왜 당신이 더 행복해 보이느냐 그러더라고요. 아무도 없으니까 이런저런 얘기를 할 수 있어요. 가정 상담을 해주고 있고 예비 부부 상담을 해주고 있고 아이들 키우는 상담을 해주고 있으면서 보니까 점점 그들의 목자가 되고 친구가 되어가는 것을 발견하게 되었습니다. 저한테 보내온 편지가 450통이나 있었습니다. You are not forgotten. 수십만 명이 기도하고 있는데 내가 이렇게 낙심할 수는 없어. 날마다 화장실에 들어가서 거울을 보면서 이렇게 했습니다. My name is Kenneth Bae, you are Missionary. 그렇게 견뎌냈던 시간들이 매일매일이 쌓여서 2년이 지나가는 것입니다.
캠퍼스 학생들 중에 이제 탈북민 학생들이 그래도 꽤 많은 편인데 그런 탈북민 학생들에 대해서 좀 더 대화를 좀 더 많이 하고 싶다, 더 많이 시간을 함께 보내고 싶다라는 마음이 이제 많이 들었고 북한 땅과 연결하는 그런 통로로 다리 역할로 있으셨듯이 저희도 그런 다리 역할로 있을 수 있도록 노력하고 저희도 함께 하겠습니다.
So, as we just saw in the video clip, you're out a lot these days giving lectures about your time in North Korea. And it was amazing to see all these young people listening so attentively to your words and kind of really responding to them. And it must be very rewarding to be able to share your story and inspire others so much.
Well, I came home, but my heart is still in North Korea. And so I just want people to remember them.
Right.
And this is why I titled my book called Not Forgotten. And so I'm sharing my story with the people now around the world and let people know that how we should care for the people in North Korea.
Yeah.
And how we should remember them and stand with them, because this is how I got home. Because so many people care, so many people pray for me and stand with me during those times. I really felt like I need to write the books and let people know how the ordinary people live in North Korea and how also God is faithful. And so we need to continue to trust God and pray for the people in North Korea. So when I share my story with the people around the world, and then people are really, I think my message become another reminder for them to pray for those people who are often forgotten and then just isolated, and just stand together with them.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are multiple meanings really behind this,
that's right.
this phrase, not forgotten. And looking back, what do you think you gained or earned from your time in North Korea? Is there anything you want to take forward with you now as you go on with your life?
I really value freedom a lot more than before.
Yeah.
And I really see how the freedom is, something that we take it for granted many times. But because I was there, I saw the life of the people over there. Just wanted to become a voice for the people who are going through difficulty in their lives, and also just want to move forward. That how we need to concern for people's welfare, because we're living in the world with many different problems and difficulties, and not only in North Korea, but the different nations go through difficulty. But if we can care for the people, and there are a lot of refugees out there, and there are a lot of victims out there. If we can stand with them, I think the message is to care for one another, love one another. I think this is something that I learned. Even though I went through difficulty in my life, but those times that I was reminded that how we as a human beings should care for others who are in need, who are going through difficulty in their lives.
I think it's simple in principle, but quite hard to put into practice. But I think your story will really help others to be able to put that into practice in their everyday lives. And I have to ask, what are your next steps? What are your future goals and dreams?
Yes, and I came home and I just telling people that I cannot look the other way and move on in my life. So I wanted to get involved, continue to help the people in North Korea.
Yeah.
And also there are a lot of refugees from North Korea now coming into South Korea. So I wanted to start an NGO to help the refugees to settle in South Korea for maybe job placements and language trainings and maybe schooling, so maybe different things that they need that we can raise awareness of, and then just show our care and concern for the people who just arrived.
Right.
And as any refugees around the world, we need some special attention.
We do.
I do believe that will be something that I would love to get involved, and also let people know that we need to remember the people in North Korea as well. So this is what I'm doing now, or what I'll be doing next.
That's an amazing cause, and I think your experience actually puts you in this unique position to be able to move people and get things going in the direction that we need in terms of refugees and people who are struggling. Yeah,
because I told North Korean governments that I want to be the peaceful bridge between North Korea and the rest of the world. That my heart never, even still now, is the same. I'd love to go back to North Korea if someday, if the circumstances changes.
Yeah.
But I told them that I want to go back to North Korea not as a threat. I hope that they understand that Christians and the missionary are not a threat, but rather that we can become blessings, to become a blessing to connect, to be able to live more peacefully, harmoniously. I think this is one of the things that God put me in my heart. And so from now, I would like to be the bridge between the people who are in need, especially refugees, and see if we can help with those people.
Well, I truly hope that happens for you. I'm very confident that it will. And just thank you for sharing your absolutely inspirational story with us today. I think it's been an unforgettable interview for me and hopefully for our viewers as well. Best of luck going forward. Once again, thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing your valuable time with us today.
Well, thank you for your time.